Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law on My FM 101.3 with your host, Jay Marsden. He's from the Marsden Law Group. It makes him a lawyer.
Yes.
No, he's a true blue lawyer. I'm John Drohan from Main Effort Financial. I'm not a lawyer, hence I'm not part of the law aspect of this. We are also on TV today. Once again, the Hollison Cable Access Television award-winning TV station.
Emmys,
And,
Grammys,
and
Oscars,
and our show, of
Tonys.
course, is I don't know how many awards and accolades. We've lost count of them all over this time.
So many years.
And we are also, as a reminder to all of you listeners out there, My FM 101.3 is the nine-time station of the year. And we just happen to, you know what? We're a small cog in this wheel, and we're just happy to be here.
Nueve, baby. Nueve.
As we're here at the show, I will disclose that I may be there may be a little gas not on my fastball today. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I can't strike people out.
No. This is actually very interesting. So I'm looking at you today, and I'm thinking to myself, today, which is uncharacteristic. You look how I look a lot.
No, that's not.
Yes,
no,
you do.
No.
Yes.
I look. I mean, I'm on TV.
No,
so
I'm not saying you don't look great. I'm just saying there's
I look slim.
There's a little bit of a glow about you today. All right, and I'm just saying that looking at you, I'm like, that's how I look a lot.
I just had a long drive. I had a long drive.
Yeah, you had a long drive, all right. You had a long drive after a long night.
I had a long drive as well. I was supporting our countrymen. I was supporting our heritage.
Of course you were.
Last night, I was at New York University, NYU, at the Gluckman House event they were giving out the Gluckman House Awards, and I was so lucky to be invited by my friend Camille Salaim, and he brought a couple of our high school buddies, and
for those of you who don't know, you didn't hear prior to the show going on the air, I come in and John said to me, just FYI, I woke up in New York this morning.
I did.
And it seemed like you didn't know that you were going to be in New York.
I was finishing the story.
No, but I'm saying, it's leading into it. It was like an episode. It was like Hangover 4 is what it was like. Like, you woke up in New York, and who's missing? Who's missing? That's right.
Yeah, we woke up in New York. Where's my car?
That's right. Where's my car? Where's my friend? Yeah, that's right.
Actually, we stayed in my friend's condo in New York last night. And there was a couple of those, hey, where's my car? Coming from the group that was there.
A couple of those moments.
Yeah. These are my lifelong high school friends. None of whom you have met yet.
No,
However, all of them you will be fast friends with.
I feel like I know them all.
You will be fast.
I feel like I know them all.
Yeah. And it was so the end of the night, as I said before we started, after we were at the Gluckman House event at NYU. We were downtown, way downtown. Sure. So we said, "Hey, why don't we go stop at a place since it's kind of like
celebrating Irish
night,
yep.
And where else do we go than the oldest Irish tavern in all of New York City?"
Of course.
For those of you who don't know, shame on you. Now you will know.
Shamus on you.
McSorleys Old Irish Ale House.
Nice.
Perfect. And I had said the last time I had been to McSorleys was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago. And I always tell this story. So for those of you, and you've been, right?
No, never been.
Oh, dear.
Never been. No.
Dear.
No.
All right.
When I worked at that small mutual fund company in downtown Boston, I covered the New York territory for a while. Wow. So I did a lot of stuff, most of which I don't remember because I wasn't paying the bills. So when you're running around with somebody's corporate card that literally is bottomless, and by the way, and your job is to go and like make everybody like you.
Make everybody happy.
Make everybody happy because, you know, hey, Jay's in town. We're going to talk product. He's taking everybody out. The sky is the limit.
Right. And McSorleys, although it's a fine establishment, been around for a long time, it's not probably it would be categorized as a 5-star restaurant.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Well, because although they do serve food, none of it's cooked. What it is essentially you get a sleeve of saltine crackers and some cheese and some onions.
Some bar nuts.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And so I equate McSorleys to you right now as someone who has never been to Graceland.
Right.
This is a place that you have to
Mecca.
It must be on your list.
It's like going to Mecca. You got to make one pilgrimage in your lifetime.
On your list.
That's
You
funny.
must. You absolutely must go.
All right.
And and if you happen to need somebody to go with, I will be happy
I need a
to take
wingman
you.
to take me through. I need a guide.
You know what they serve at McSorleys? They have a whole wide variety of things to drink. You know what they serve? Two things.
Beer.
They serve, they serve beer, both kinds.
Oh,
they
okay.
have McSorleys Light Ale and McSorleys Dark Ale.
Yep.
And the way they bring it to you, you think, oh, how would I get it? In a pint glass or in a pitcher or something? Oh, no. They are 10 ounce, I think they're 10 ounce, 10 ounce mugs, right? And they come, you don't order just one, you order as many as the waiter can carry.
I love it.
And he carries, I've seen 10 in each hand.
Yep.
10 in each hand, and they slam them down, and they're always like kind of bubbling over, and it's always messy. Sure. There's all sawdust on the floor to kind of absorb up all the beer. And that's what you do. You go there and you drink those. Usually you drink them fast because more are coming as fast as you can drink them. And then at some point, in my times that I've been there, so I've probably maybe been there 6 or 7 times. And last night was the one exception. All the times we've been there, it's been crowded. And usually it's like you're on the clock. So you get in there, and if you slow up 1 second, if you even hesitate for a second, they're like, all right, come on, everybody out. And they're all Irish-speaking lads that work in there.
Sure. There's a brogue right behind everyone.
Oh, yeah.
So one of my all-time favorite downtown establishments, I'm not even sure if it's there anymore, known as Martin's Townhouse. When you walked into Martin's Townhouse, it had what we have behind us right here, which is the whiteboard for those of you who are on the radio. And the whiteboard would have the wine list on it, all right? And the wine list, I'm going to do the little at-home for the folks at home. And I know you can't see it. I'll explain it to you in the radio in a minute. But this was the wine list at Martin's
And there it is. He's writing it in I'll give you a hint.
There you go.
Not unlike McSorley's Ale.
That was the wine. That was the wine list right there. Can I see the wine list? You sure can.
Yeah, it's right behind you.
Here you go. What would you?
For those of you who can't, let me read it to you. We have red and white.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the wine list. And I used to love it all the time.
So
It was
what are you
great
drinking?
downtown. Those establishments, which by the way, full of more character than you could possibly ever hope for. And you can't build that character. That character isn't one of those,
No.
hey, we'd like to build one of these. That is something that is
earned.
homegrown and earned. And those establishments always hold a very dear place in my heart and soul.
Well, they're often associated with an event, right? They're associated with a space and time that you'll never get back. You'll never be with those same people in that same group, right? So and that all of my McSorleys time, my 21st birthday was at McSorleys. Sure. Like my first time I've ever been in New York City with my old college friends was at McSorleys, right?
Yep.
And it's those, and you remember it. I mean, well, you remember most of it.
You remember the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember the end of it. I remember the beginning of it.
I remember most of it.
Yeah, that's right.
And last night was, now of course much older, much more wiser, more controlled. Last night was not.
You're so much more mature than you were back then. I can just tell by
For a while
you.
there, I last night I was worried that the maturity level was going back down. We were resorting back to the old
inverse relationship to your BAC level. Is that
it wasn't me.
Is that the formula you're trying to sell?
I'm not throwing guys under the bus. I was actually doing like child management.
We've all been there. We've all been there. We've all played in that space. We've all played in that space. A lot of safe, harmful fun. And by the way, that leads up to you know what we're turning the corner on this week?
What, weather?
No, just on the calendar.
The month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're galloping into March.
Yeah.
It's on its way. It's almost here.
It comes in like a lion.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we talked about this. Yeah. We could get 2 feet of snow next week. So knock on wood.
We could.
Cross your fingers, everybody. But yeah, we're sailing.
I mean,
right
there's
up
something
to...
happens in March, right? I mean, I know March. There's some events. Obviously, there's the patron saint of our countrymen, which you were talking about, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's coming up. So it's all good stuff.
There's his day, and then somebody else has a day in March. Let us not forget, right?
What?
What do you mean what? You
So
know what?
My day?
You have a day, right?
We have an event coming up. Oh, that's right. My day. So that's the end of the month. Nobody cares about that.
Jay's birthday.
Way at the end of the month. That's way at the end of the month.
Because I remember.
I appreciate it.
It's important.
That's one.
Right.
That's one. What are we talking about today? Besides McSorleys
besides
and
the New York
drinking
show?
and
It's
old
the New
pubs
York
in
show.
Boston and all that stuff. This is the pub crawl. It's a radio pub crawl. Great idea.
Here we go.
Great idea.
Write it down.
Write it down. Write that down. Radio pub crawl.
Write it
It's
down.
coming up. It's coming up.
The radio pub. When are we going to do that?
I don't know. Soon. Very soon. In March. For a couple of reasons.
For all the right reasons.
Yes, that's right. That's
For all
right.
the right
That's right. That's right.
and that's going to be just you're going to promise that is good, harmless,
Yes.
all American,
Fun.
Irish American.
Fun,
if it has
fun,
to be
fun, till their daddy
fun.
takes the T-bird away.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
or
right.
yeah, supervised,
Yes,
adult,
of course.
supervised.
Yes, there'll be some adult in the room. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, I like that idea.
Like the White House.
I like
Yes,
that.
yes.
I like that idea.
Yes.
All right. So today, I actually, you know what I wanted to talk about today? You will appreciate this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I wanted to talk about today is something that's happening in our practice is beneficiary review. Beneficiary, like scrubbing your beneficiaries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you know, and again, you know, beneficiaries kind of being in the whole estate planning genre, is that it's important for people to kind of go back and, you know, everybody, when you have a life insurance policy, when you have your 401k, your IRA, it's important for everybody to remember who their beneficiaries are.
Yeah.
But it's also important, what we've found in our practice, it's if you review them, you know, 9 out of 10 times, 99 out of 100 times, they're not changing, right? But if you just,
that's right.
But if you say it out loud and you talk about it and you just say, okay, just a reminder, hey, you know, for your 401k, this is still true, right? You want and usually if you're married, it'll be your spouse will be the primary beneficiary. But it's those contingent beneficiaries that oftentimes either they weren't set up because you don't need to put contingent beneficiaries when you have an IRA.
Right.
But and maybe you just didn't know at the time, or maybe your kids were minors at the time, or maybe you hadn't done any trust work or anything, or you haven't done any kind of extensive estate planning. So I think focusing on those on what your contingent beneficiaries are, that's important. And again, contingent beneficiaries, it's unlikely. It's an unlikely event.
Well, yeah, it's not glamorous, but it could be. It's an important part of the process. I mean, it's something that needs to be thought about.
Well, because you know what it is. It's something that you can control.
Right.
And there are many things that we can't control, but what you can control is like, look, in the very unlikely event that something happens to both you and the primary beneficiary, which would then trigger to have to go down to your contingent beneficiaries, then it's thought of.
That's
but
right.
and we always say that. We're like, look, the odds of this happening are very slim. We're not saying this is, we're not kind of planning this is going to happen. However, if it does, in the unlikely event it does, we've thought of it, we've considered it, and it's part of the plan.
Yeah, so let's take a quick break and let's come back and let's dive into that a little bit.
I'm going to take a quick nap.
That.
So that.
Why don't you get some water? Get you some water, and we'll catch up when we get back from the break.
I could use some sleep,
and we'll go over it.
All right, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
It's only an hour long.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
And we're back. Money the Law, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, again, My FM 101.3. Your 2019 Youve Time winner, Massachusetts Broadcasters Association radio station of the year.
It's so 2019, though.
Obvious reasons.
Yeah.
2019, there's a 9 in there. There's a lot of things coming together. If you're a numbers person, if you're one of those numerologists, there's a lot going on there to unpack. So I'll let you check that out in your own.
Nothing to unpack. I mean, it's unpacked. It happened in 2019, and there was 9 times. Coincidence? Yes.
Maybe. There could be more to it. There could be more to it.
Jay he's one of those avid conspiracy theorists, so obviously there's some kind of there's
grassy knoll. There's a grassy knoll everywhere.
Yep,
There's a grassy knoll everywhere.
Yep. There's a shooter behind the fence.
So we were talking behind, which there was. We're talking about the
back and to the left.
That's right. We're talking about beneficiary information. Here's the thing. One of the things that we kind of joke about all the time when we talk about beneficiary information, but
it's so funny.
It's still funny. but we, what happens is when you're setting these things up. I mean, think about it, right? First of all, the requirement that you need to provide on a beneficiary designation form now than what you needed to provide 10 years ago has changed dramatically. Before it was just give me a name. Give me any name.
Make it up.
Any
right?
name. Give me a name. Give me a name. We didn't care. Give me a percentage. Give me a name. Is it per stirpes? Is it all this crazy? None of that existed. It was just who's your primary beneficiary and who's your secondary beneficiary.
Right. Because and in the thinking of it, what's the odds of this going to happen? It was sloppy.
Well, it was sloppy. The industry was different. There was just wasn't a big deal, right? Now, I don't know if it's big data or I don't know if it's big government, but now it's who's your primary beneficiary, who's your second beneficiary, what's their relationship to you. They might want their address. They want to know their social security number. They want to know maybe their date of birth. Now, again, this isn't a big deal but I don't know my kid's social security number. I can barely tell you their birth dates. So if I'm sitting in a form, I have a general idea. Yeah. If I'm sitting in an office and somebody says to me, give me that information, in many cases the answer is, well, I don't have it right here.
Yeah.
Now the person that you're working with in an attempt to get this puppy up and funded so they can get paid in some cases, they're going to say, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll make your wife the primary, and then we'll make your estate the backup. Right? Because you get a will, right? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it'll eventually get there. And so they throw this kind of casual, like, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. Let's go TikTok. I got to get out of here. Just give me this. So you end up putting something in place that you swear on a stack of Bibles. I'll come back and fix this. I'll get the kids and I'll get their social security numbers. I'll come back and we'll do this. You can, because the answer is from the people you're working with is, oh, you can change it any time. Don't worry about it. So again, to John's point, this is a good opportunity when there's no urgency to sit down and say, do I have the right information on these things? And if I don't have the right information on them, how do I change it, right? For those of you who are somewhat newly married, you have beneficiary information that could be your parents, could be your siblings, sure. Right? And you know what? Maybe mom doesn't need your $600,000 IRA when she's got 1 foot in her way into the nursing home, right? I mean, this really happens. This really happens, right?
I mean, it's a great point because like you said, and you being in the business as well, like in order to get this thing going, I need a beneficiary. I don't need a contingent beneficiary, and it's a pain, right? Like, what do you mean? Especially so, when you have like older kids, right? I mean, it's one thing if like you have your kids' social security, like a cheat sheet or something somewhere, like in your, right? But if your kids are grown, right, and your kids are like adults, and you're like, I don't know where they, I don't know where they, I don't even know their phone numbers. I mean, I just,
that's right.
I punch in, right? So it's kind of a tedious project to get it done at that particular time, especially if it's going to hold everything up. And this is, if you're signing up for your 401k, oftentimes you'll be doing that online, and you just want to get it going, you want to get it started. So
well, and if you've worked at the same firm for a long time, right? You're one of these folks who have worked at a big firm for 20, 25 years. You haven't updated your beneficiary information. Maybe you have, but there's nothing that prompts you to do it. That they might say. I mean, there's nothing that prompts you to change your 401k contributions. A lot of ways they say, is anything different? And you say to yourself, no, nothing's different. Great, they make no changes.
Path
right?
of least resistance.
That's right. And so you assume everything is all set. Now, you won't be here when it happens, but just take it from somebody who's seen this from the outside. Nothing makes your newly widowed or widowered, if that's even a word.
We know what you meant.
Nobody, that's right. Nothing makes your spouse when you're gone more aggravated than when your retirement account goes to your ex-girlfriend. Okay? I just want to let you know, if you want to leave a mark, all right, I'm not sure that's the mark that you want to leave.
Right. So here's the thing, and there are safeguards put into place now with retirement accounts that many times will avoid that, especially if I'm signing up for my 401k. Many of the 401ks now, I'm signing up for my 401k, and I'm going to leave someone other than my spouse. If I'm going to say, hey, I'm not going to put my spouse as my primary beneficiary, they're like, whoa, you can do that.
But
however, she's going to sign right here, and a notary is going to watch her sign it.
That's right.
Just so that doesn't happen. And it's not in order to because you want to be shady and like sneak money away to your girlfriend. Oftentimes it's for just that reason that you just don't remember. Like you just want to make sure that this is put in place and as long as you're cognizant of that and you can you may very well not have your spouse be the primary beneficiary or be the full beneficiary of it because your estate planning attorney says or your financial planner says, hey, this is how we're going to spread this out, this is how it's going to work, and you're like, okay, that makes sense, and then you can do that.
And that happens, and the opportunity to correct something like that is usually when there's money in motion or there's some paperwork that needs to be filled out or you're rolling money from a 401k to another 401k. And so yes, you're right, there are some safeguards to protect that. But if you've lived in this sort of set it and forget it world, and by the way, this applies to what do we joke about all the time, right? Your friend was in the insurance business for about a minute, right? And you get saddled with this long-term, whole life insurance policy that you had nobody to leave it to at the time, but you were young and in love. and it's either the parents, or it's a sibling, or it's an old boyfriend, or it's an old girlfriend. And again, you've done these things.
Your radio partner.
Your radio partner. That's right. That's right. So you're going to go through this process.
You may be the beneficiary. I need to
check yours right now. You might have made some changes at McSorleys online they didn't even remember you made. Right?
Is your name Jay or is it actually Joseph?
John,
Whatever.
John, is this just for giggles? Like, let's say we're just playing around. What's your password? Right. So this.
A lot of passwords revealed at McSorleys.
That's right. So this is a real thing, and if it happens, you can't unring the bell. I mean, it's going to be ugly.
Well, what happens, right?
Unintentional consequences.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on the show, and it's not.
Unintended.
Unintended. Not unintended.
Who was out last night? You or me? Sounds like both of us.
I was.
I should have been. All right.
I'm here now. I'm here.
I'm not doing that.
So the point is this: is that if for whatever reason, and it may be the most innocent of things. And we talked about like 401ks now. If you're going to sign up for a 401k, it would be hard for you to have someone other than your spouse if that was your intention.
That's right.
But we're talking about if you're like on your second marriage and you have old IRAs or you have like old IRA rollovers, those don't change. Those don't have to change.
That's right.
At all. So or old, like Jade, great point, is the whole old life insurance policies that where your parents are the beneficiaries. So if for whatever reason it goes to the wrong beneficiary, and even if your parents have they're like, oh no, we get it, it's okay, we're gonna give it to to you, we're gonna give it to your to your widow now, it doesn't actually work like that, because now if someone inherits an IRA or someone inherits life insurance or is the beneficiary of that, in order for me to give it to them, what does it have to be? It has to be a gift.
That's right.
Yeah, I have to gift it to them. I can't gift an IRA to somebody.
No.
So now you're screwed, right? You have a $500,000 IRA that now it's supposed to go to Christian, and the only way for him to get it is for me to give it to him, and the only way for me to give it to him is to cash it out,
take a
pay
full
the taxes.
liquidation.
Yeah, full. And if by the way, if I won't pay a penalty, but I have to pay the taxes.
Right. That's right.
There it is, and it's no longer an IRA. And
now on the legal side, right? Somebody could disclaim that. So,
right.
For example, if your parents were the ones that got it, and they said, "Oh well, what can we do? What can we do? We don't want to give it to her because of the gift thing that we heard about John talking about on the radio." So the answer would be, well, you could disclaim the inheritance, if you will, and when they disclaim the inheritance, then it goes as if those people predeceased you. So the money would ultimately go to your spouse, but to get to your spouse, it would have to go through the estate.
There you go.
And there'd be a full liquidation, and then it has to go from the estate account. So you lose the benefits that you would get if it came to them as an IRA.
Exactly.
That's right. That's a huge win. There's a whole tax deferral piece there that you lose because and by the way, this is a good time of the year to do this because you're getting in the mail all your tax documents.
Right.
So for the account
to remind you of
that's right. The account that you think you forgot about, you're getting a tax form that says you have an IRA here, you have an old 401k here. So this stuff is showing up, and this stuff is now you're able to kind of catalog it and say, hey, you know what? A, let's make sure we check the beneficiaries on it. B, there's a consolidation opportunity here, so I can get rid of these 11 statements and get it down to 1 or 2 and make it a lot easier to manage and babysit and keep an eye on how it's performing and things of that nature. So there's a multi-pronged benefit here to checking all this stuff out.
Okay. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk some more about some of those benefits, and we're also going to give you the McSorleys. It's like their slogan. The McSorleys slogan is.
Can we use it? Can be our slogan?
We can use it. We can use it from this day forward, from this moment forward.
Did you ask when you were down there if we could appropriate it?
I must have.
All right.
I must have because they said it to me as I was leaving. Be good or be gone.
Nice.
That is the McSorleys.
Oh, I love it.
Be good or be gone. So you people, don't be gone. Be good because we're just taking a break, and we'll be right back right after this.
And we're back. Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Both of us, interestingly, coincidentally,
are Irish.
And can be found right in downtown Holliston, right on the main drag, if you will, Washington Street.
I think it's Little Ireland. I think it's Little Galway.
Little Galway. It's, Temple Bar.
That's right.
We're in the Temple Bar area of Holliston.
Exactly.
That's where
exactly.
That's where we can be found, in the Temple Bar area.
And who knew? Who knew that Holliston had a Temple
bar.
bar?
Go figure. Get figure. Yeah. Well, they only got one bar, so I get two actually. But yeah, that's fine.
That's right.
So that's good stuff. Hey, one of the things I did want to talk about, in addition to this piece of it here, and I love the fact that the McSorleys is now going to be the McSorleys phrase of the day, if you will.
Be good or be gone.
Be good or be gone is going to be part of. I'm going to use that at the house too. I could have used that when I was coaching. I'm thinking about all the kids on the soccer team.
Just keep, you know what, just
kids
from right here,
tell
from
your
this
parents,
moment,
tell your
move
parents,
forward.
be good or be gone.
Yep.
Right? I do have a borderline serious question for you. Coronavirus.
Yes.
So for those of you who have been following the news
It's
and
serious.
the talking heads and the advertising and all that other stuff, it is serious. I want to get your take on this because the way we've approached this, the way we've handled this, is the way we've handled a lot of these different items. Is that the world is full of a ton of crazy risks.
Yep.
Some of them you can plan for. Some of you can plan to mitigate. Some of them you have an idea that they're out there and what they might look like. We've probably joked on the show a number of times. I don't think the joking was pandemic specific, but it was a joke around these types of, whether it's a geopolitical risk or something like this. How are you advising your clients around the coronavirus?
So as far as the economic fallout that comes from the coronavirus, no one knows what's going to happen with that. So as you said, there's all kinds of political and non-political and news things that are going to affect the stock market. And when we build portfolios, the idea is that they're designed for a specific purpose. And most of the time, the portfolios that we build, the purpose is to last for an extended period of time.
Sure.
And during that extended period of time, we don't pretend to know what's going to happen.
Yep.
We don't pretend to know what the effect of anything that happens, whether it be political, whether it be apolitical, whether it be an event, an accident or a discovery, anything like that.
Correct.
We don't pretend to know that. So we kind of fall back to our basic fundamentals to be diversified, to make sure that we're not too concentrated in one space. Does that mean we're passive and we don't do anything?
Sure.
No. We pay attention to it, and if there's a space that we recently have kind of made some moves in some of the healthcare positions.
Sure.
But other than that, it's our advice is, okay, we're going to see how this plays out. Your portfolio is built for this. Now, when I say it's built for it, and if you have a growth portfolio, and the fallout of in this case the coronavirus brings the market down, as we've had kind of some choppy days in the market, brings the market down. Let's say it brings it down 10 or 15%. You're not going to like that.
No.
It's not going to be fun.
No.
You're not going to be like, wow, this is you're not going to say this is great. However, your portfolio will be built for that in the sense that your portfolio is diversified. It's and in our case, in your case as well, it's being watched. It's being monitored in that if there's something that seems to be out of like falling particularly that needs to be adjusted, those adjustments will be made. But on the other hand, it's like we're going to say here it's built for it, and if it's a long-term play, we're not going to have any knee-jerk reactions unless there's some indicator that it absolutely has to happen.
Right.
So it's kind of a watch and wait,
Sure.
and be vigilant in making sure that that everything, that the asset allocation is the way it's supposed to be, because I can't time the market, and we don't pretend to try and time the market, nor do we pretend to understand what happened, what's going to happen with this particular event.
So, for those of you who are listening and for those of you who are watching, John and I talk a lot about during the week about, hey, what are we going to talk about on the show this week? What are you thinking about? What's on your mind? Just so you know, we did not have this conversation. I did not say to him, hey, by the way, I want to bring up the coronavirus. The reason I did not say that is because my advice and guidance and what we've talked about is the same advice and guidance that you just laid out, right? And I wanted to let people know that, because when you're having these conversations and when you hear all of this news where people have to fill 24 hours in a day in a news cycle, and the talking heads and there's a business behind all of this, right?
Right.
And so they need to keep eyes on the screen. They need to keep clicks on the computer. They need to keep people watching the TV. So there's a lot of talk about this, but just the people who are behind the scenes, who are really the big brains in the room, who are making the decisions, hopefully, and I know you do and I know I do, they take this approach right here, which is to say, look, this right here is the same, unknown risk a week, 10 days ago, 6 months ago, that any other risk that's out there, the risk of war, the risk of famine, the risk of some type of climate event, earthquakes, hurricanes, these things have an impact on the economy. These things have an impact on slowing down growth. Does it have an impact on certainly the short-term performance of your portfolio? Absolutely. What the emphasis on from our perspective and from your perspective is, what is my portfolio set up to withstand this? And this is undefined, right? This could be anything, right? It's these types of shocks to the system, whether it's climate, whether it's healthcare, whether it's geopolitical, whether it's political, whatever it is, these types of things are always out there. And to John's point, it's really about sitting down and saying, am I comfortable with the risk? Whatever that risk is, I don't know what it is. We can't predict it, but am I comfortable with the risk? Am I comfortable with the bouncing around? Market did well last year. This year, this is obviously a little bit of a different start to the year, but focus on the long term. Focus what you own and why you own it. And again, there was no pregame to that conversation. I just wanted to throw it out there because I've known you long enough to have a pretty good idea of what your answer was going to be anyway. So it was a little bit.
You've seen this show before?
Yeah, I know how this movie ends. But at the same time, also I want to let people know that my answer is the same. Your answer is the same. If you're talking to people, hopefully their answer is the same. We don't know what's out there all the time. We never know what's going to happen. We can't predict the future. You know what you know. You make the decisions you make, and you watch it, and you keep an eye on it.
Right.
And don't be distracted by the Chicken Little. There's people making those decisions behind the scenes to say, look, if we need to make some moves, we'll make some moves. Those things will happen. But if you have questions, certainly you can email us at the show. You can give us a call. You can talk to us. You can call us at the office. Happy to kind of talk you through anything like that. But if you're in the right hands, then essentially it's a non-event. And I know you are, because we've talked about this before. I know you're talking about these types of risks and these types of things all the time with your clients to say, look, these risks are always out there. There's nothing, we can't predict it. Right. It just happens to be defined as this time around, but it could be something else down the road. Who knows what it's going to be? So, take that for what it's worth. Again, if you have any questions or you need some hand-holding, that's what your good advisors are there for.
Yeah, and to Jay's point, it's not that it's an indifferent approach to it all. It's not that it's not watched. It's not that it's not considered. But
it's not ignore.
No, it's not ignored. It's not like I'll close my eyes and use hope as a course of action. Like I hope that the market doesn't keep going down.
Right. That's right.
Because again, we kind of use the nuclear bombs go off tomorrow. That's going to change things, right? Yep. And no one's going to no one saw the 2008 real estate market and mortgage market meltdown, and the S&P dropped 50%.
Yeah.
Got cut in half. No one saw that coming. No one
9/11. Nobody saw 9/11. No. I mean, you're in the biz. I'm in the biz. I mean, it was a regular day, right? Right. And then the whole world was different after that. So
yeah. I guess the important thing, the advice to give is that if you're whatever you're in, when we talk with respect to investments, your portfolio needs to be built to withstand that. And when I say withstand it, like we said before, if you're in a growth portfolio and the market drops, your portfolio, make no mistake about it, it's going to drop.
Oh yeah,
it's going to go down. So when I say be able to withstand it, I mean, and I go back to the 2008 example. So when the S&P 500 dropped 50%, the people that their portfolio was diversified and they had a good solid base. They were covered all markets, and they had a good solid diverse portfolio that went down, that dropped anywhere from 20, 30, 40, even 50% along with the S&P 500. So long as they were in solid positions and they were diversified, guess what happened? If they stayed there, the odds are is that their portfolio came back, and that's what happened. Now, we don't say because it happened before it's going to happen again. That's not how it works. But the idea is that when you're in a growth portfolio and there's things happening in the market, when we say it's built for it, we mean that you have time to recover. That's
well,
really,
there's a reason. That's right. There's a reason that portfolio makes sense for you, right? And hopefully hopefully you, meaning you and whoever's involved in those decisions, understand why that portfolio makes sense for you. If you don't, that's a different conversation. But you're there because you've indicated a comfort level. You've indicated that that's the right place for you to be, and you've obviously indicated that you're comfortable with some of this bouncing around, which is.
Did you want to talk money talk because I was actually near Wall Street this morning? This morning I drove on Wall Street, waved to the guys, said, "Hey, get to work. Let's get this. Let's get
guys,
things
let's turn things around here. Let's turn things around here. My clients are getting enough.
Enough is enough.
All right, you had your 2 days.
I got to be back for the show by 11:30.
I'd like to make sure that I have some positive news to bring back to the table.
Please do what you can. And here we are.
Turn all those computers back on. What's the saying out of trading places? Turn those machines back on.
Turn those machines back on.
That's right. That's right. Get people back on the floor.
So back to our original topic of McSorleys. No, back to our original topic.
We
gotta be gone. But it has to be with it. There has to be some venom behind it. There has to be like some. It's like. You're not asking them. You're telling them. You're not.
No, but every one of those guys who's going to yell at you with a brogue, you look at them and you say to yourself, "This guy could take a pipe wrench.
Keep talking.
He could take a pipe wrench to the head and he wouldn't even move. So I'm not even going to mess with this guy, right? Those guys are usually tough as nails, right? So there's a reason that you're a bouncer in an Irish bar.
They're bare knuckle boxers, right?
That's right.
What's the Tom Cruise movie? What's the one with Nicole Kidman?
Oh yeah, they're far and away.
Yep, far and away.
Far and away. Yep.
Who wants to do it? And that's how they fight, right?
That's how they start.
Yeah, their hands. For those of you who can't see, you know what I'm talking about.
He's in a John L. Sullivan again. I'll give more references nobody gets, right? He's in a John L. Sullivan pose. He's got his suspenders on. He's got the big old school boxing outfit on.
Leave my suspenders on, right?
That's right.
My long sleeve undershirt.
Big mustache. Big mustache.
Big handlebar mustache. Yeah, just like you can see it on TV. Yeah.
That's right. Just like you were visioning. Just like fighting today.
So what we're really talking about was make sure you check your beneficiaries. So that's the what the takeaway is review what your beneficiaries are and these are your named beneficiaries. Things like, and we're not even talking about like your will or your trust or anything.
No, this is just on your accounts, on your bank accounts, investment accounts, brokerage accounts.
Your IRA, right? Your IRA, right? Yep. Your IRA, your 401k. A lot of people have that. Your life insurance, right? And especially have a lot of people have old life insurance. I've had a life insurance policy for 20 years, 30 years. Review to see who those beneficiaries are and see if there's a contingent beneficiary, because now is the time to put one on.
That's right.
Right? You have to dig up the Social Security number, but so what? Now is the time to put it on, because again, you're not doing this in the hopes that it's good, that both you and your spouse in our example.
You're not hoping it happens.
No. But if it does, then your estate, because the reason you do estate planning in the first place, the reason you buy life insurance in the first place, the reason you name a beneficiary in your 401k, because you don't want the government to get your money. You don't want it to go away. You want to pass it along. So when you're 110 years old and you die on the front porch, you want your legacy to have it.
It's kind of public, isn't it? Front porch.
I mean, if you're 110 years old, no matter where you're dying. I mean, what are you going to die on top of Mount Kilimanjaro?
No, but I don't want to die on the front porch. All my neighbors watching me check out. I mean, can we do the back porch? Can we do the back porch?
You can die in the front door of McSorleys.
That's different. That's different. That's going out like a champ. That's different.
And stay out.
Be good and be gone. I didn't mean be gone like that.
Right. They throw a 110-year-old Jay Marsden out the front door of McSorleys and get the hell out of here.
Hey, if I'm 110 and I'm still getting thrown out of a bar, I will consider that success.
Right.
I will.
That's newsworthy.
That's right. That's exactly right. And in today's news, not the coronavirus, that pandemic is long gone, but Jay Marsden at 110 tossed out of McSorleys for the 11th time this year.
Jay Marsden, he goes out swinging too, right?
He went down swinging. If I go like that, I will consider it a life well lived.
Yeah, you don't want to get thrown out. You have to get. It has to be just like in the like the old westerns. You have to be punched out of the bar, right?
Yeah.
So and the kid, like the 20-year-old, bare knuckled Irish fighter, he's gonna feel bad for you.
He's not gonna be born for 4 generations from now, right?
But you're asking for it. You're going, give it to me right here. Yeah, lay one on me.
I fought better guys. I've lost to better guys than you. That's right.
That's right. Come on, Patty. Do it one more.
Hold my cane. A wiry old guy. This guy keeps showing up. Who lets him back in here?
Hold my cane.
I don't need this.
He's the guy who greases the bouncer, right?
Yeah. taking you
I
on
got
old school.
500 reasons why I'm going to be drinking here tonight.
I'm taking you on old school right now. Let's go.
I want all of them. McSorleys, light and dark. Keep them coming.
Not
right
one at
now.
a, not
To
one
me.
at a time. One at a time. Let's go.
What's
Bring them
that?
all on.
Is it Thursday? As if it's Thursday, then I'm drinking.
Good Lord.
There was a lot of brogues last night. There was
I
a lot
can
of,
imagine.
lot of brogues. It was funny. To this there was one anecdote story. So we're at our table and there's all kids from our high school,
Sure.
like and we're ready to go. Like
Right.
we haven't seen each other in a while.
Yeah,
And
we gotta make some memories.
We're not paying for drinks, so we're sitting at this table. It's kind of fancy, right? Like I said, we're all in suits, and we're in the back. Bad idea, right? To where 3 different people came up to my friend Camille, who bought the table. He's an executive at this firm.
Yeah.
3, they kind of said, and they said, hey, listen, can you have your guy shut up? Because
We can
he's
hear
trying
you
to-
up front.
we can hear you. 3 different times, and there was one extra seat. There was 9 of us, one extra seat, and a guy came in and he had an Irish brogue, and he sits down and he says, "You mind if I sit here?" And we're like, "No, but you might mind."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, no." Sure enough, his name was Roger from Florida.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, right, from the county Orlando.
Yeah, I flew up for it.
Yeah, but he's been in the U.S. for a while, and by the end of the night, Roger was our favorite Irishman.
Best friend.
Yeah,
Best friend.
Yeah,
Yep. Fast friends.
yeah, fast friends.
that's
He was okay.
Nice. Good stuff. Hey, one of the things we're talking about on the beneficiary side is, are you an advocate of the transfer on death, payable on death? Not for IRAs. Forget IRAs. Let's talk about taxable accounts and the idea that you're leaving money to people that way.
It's interesting. It's convenient.
Yeah.
We normally don't do it, so because if they have a buttoned up estate plan, then and particularly if they've done trust work, then then it becomes academic.
Yeah,
So,
and I always feel the same way. I'll tell people, on those taxable accounts, ideally you'd make either that account already in the name of your trust, right? So we don't have to we can avoid that 2-step process, or you name the trust the beneficiary of the individual brokerage account or the joint brokerage
transfer on
account.
death, right.
That's right, because then you get to use your trust to control, because you'll have distribution plans in your trust that might be different than just, I want my kids to get an outright distribution. So that's where, if you've done some estate planning and the beneficiaries either don't exist or for some reason that I don't necessarily understand, you don't want to make the account the name of your trust. That's where putting on a beneficiary, which is your trust, makes sense. Your IRA is a different animal, but for taxable accounts that you own jointly, that may be the way to go for some of those. And then again, if you have distribution wishes in your trust that say, look, my kids get some of it at 25, they get some of it at 30, those wishes will be honored when that money flows into your trust.
So oftentimes when the word trust comes up, that people think, oh, that's a different level of estate plan. That's the next level up,
Yeah,
right?
sure,
And
sure.
because it costs a little more, and there's more, it takes more time and it takes more thought. Look, the idea of, and we've talked about, I don't want to delve into trust too much, but it's a little tedious to kind of make that happen. But understand that if you have a brokerage account, and let's say you and your wife have a joint brokerage account, let's say you have $100,000 in that brokerage account, have stocks and bonds and whatever.
Sure.
It's so much easier from an estate planning perspective to have that account be owned by the trust, to rename that account, to have it be in the trust, because then again, the trust is doing its job, and that it's keeping that out of probate, and it's distributed just the way you want it to be distributed, in accordance with your trust wishes and your beneficiary distribution.
Yeah,
So,
and if somebody needs access to that money, they have instant liquidity. They can literally walk into a Fidelity or a T. Rowe Price and say, here's a couple of death certificates. I need to be moved up on this trust, and I need to have a signature card signed so I can access money to pay for whatever you might need to pay for, whatever those trust assets might look like. And if you get a check from an insurance company, we always talk about making your trust the beneficiary of the insurance company. You're going to get a check made payable to the name of the trust.
Yeah.
To your point, if you already have the trust set up, it's literally just walk down and here's a check for $500,000 that also has to go into the trust, and you skip all those probate issues, and you do it because you've done the beneficiary work on the front end. I mean, that's really what you're doing with the trust, is you're doing the change of beneficiary work on the front end, so those people who are going to normally they'd have to go in and do all that don't have to do that. And if you work with a good advisor, you should be able to walk into the advisor's office and say to the advisor, hey, I did some estate planning. My attorney said I need to put some accounts in the name of my trust.
Where did you do the estate planning? And they said, oh, right across the street.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And I'd say, how come I didn't get the referral from you? But that's different. But I'd say, hey, why don't you, great. And they should know, hey, here's the forms you got to fill out. There's going to be maybe a new application. There's going to be a trustee certificate form that says who the players are and who the players are if you're not around. And it's it's a paper caper, but it's relatively straightforward. And the people that you're working with, they should know how to do that. And it's another fantastic consolidation opportunity. We talked about it when you get your tax forms. Great consolidation opportunity. You do this estate planning, you're changing some beneficiaries. Hey, maybe we don't need 11 CDs at 13 different banks. Why don't we consolidate everything?
Right. I don't think I even own 11 CDs that I can play music on. So what are we taking away today? Review it. Like if you do nothing, like review it, figure it out, and if you don't know what it is, make the call, ask questions to your advisor or to your bank or to wherever or to your employer if you don't know about your 401k. Just take it. It's not as hard as you think. It's not going to be as time consuming as you think, but just start by asking the question, and then if you don't have contingent beneficiaries or the beneficiaries need to be changed, it's easy to do.
It is easy to do. It's easy to do.
It doesn't seem easy, but it is.
And you know what? And this is, by the way, this is a great opportunity to call your advisor and say, hey, I want to do a beneficiary review. Can we schedule a call, or can I come in the office and let's sit down and let's go through some paperwork and let's sit down and let's just make sure that everything's buttoned up. You have to have the conversation anyway. At some point, you want to make sure you have a conversation with your advisor. So it's a great opportunity to get together and say, hey, let's review the portfolio real quick, and hey, let's do a quick beneficiary review. Do I have everything buttoned up? And who knows?
Music to my ears.
Maybe you'll buy an annuity. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows what happens?
Or maybe you
might. That might happen.
All right, that's it.
No, we're good. We're good.
You know what it's time for? Be good or be gone.
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 You'll be good or be gone.
Be good or be gone.
Thanks for joining us today on Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, the 9-time radio station of the year. Yep, that's 9. And Holliston Cable Access TV, the award-winning cable access TV station based right there in Holliston, downtown, which Holliston was often...
Temple Bar?
Well, it's often confused with Dublin, but yeah.
Often.
I'm John Drohan from Main Effort Financial. He is Jay Marsden
from the Marsden Law Group. You got to do your name. Why don't I get to do my name? I mean, I like that you're doing it, but you got to do your name.
It's better when someone else says your name.
Well, then I should say he is.
No. You say my whole name.
No, he's John Drohan from Main Effort Financial.
And he's Jay Marsden from the Marsden Law Group.
Now I see where you're going. All right, that makes sense. All right, I got it.
We need to work on that.
All right, we'll work.
We'll see everybody next week. Join us next Saturday on My FM 101 for the Money in the Law.
Have a great week, everybody.
Woo! Be good or be gone.
Be well.